Good morning and welcome to another edition of Our Town here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swinson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. On the program this morning, we're going to be talking about a couple of 4th of July events in the next few days in our area. Coming up on Saturday, it's the Spillville 4th of July Independence Day celebration. And we will talk with Paul Wermers about that event. Of course, next Monday and Tuesday, it's the Eitzen Family Fun Fest. And we will talk with Brad Hoscheit. He is the newly elected president of the Eitzen Lions, who will put together that Fun Fest next Monday and Tuesday. But our first guest this morning is a guy that he has a couple of days left on the job after more than 3 decades of service to the city of Decorah. Decorah Police Chief Dave Smutzler will be stepping down and retiring from that position effective tomorrow. There will be an open house for him at City Hall from 1 until 4 on Friday afternoon. And we had a few minutes to talk about his career, what it's meant to serve the city of Decorah that long, and the future of law enforcement, and many other topics. Dave Smutzler will be our first guest this morning. This is Our Town. It's brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and you're listening to it on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. This is the final week on the job for now retiring Decorah Police Chief Dave Smutzler after 3 decades of service to the community of Decorah. And Dave joins us for quote unquote an exit interview. I guess this would be from a media perspective. And Dave, as you look at where you're at right now, what made this the right time to retire and call it a career?
There's a lot of factors that went into it. Wasn't an easy decision to make. A lot of discussions with my wife, a lot of deep thoughts on it, a lot of talks with family. And kind of that's what it boils down to is family. You know, we preach, or I preach here, faith, family, and Decorah Police Department. I've never really abide by that own philosophy on things, and kind of a hypocrite that way. I've always put my career in the lead ahead of my family, and now it's time to switch that up.
When you go back to when you started your career, as you were getting into your professional life, what made law enforcement the right career for you?
I've always been interested in it ever since I was a kid. I think never the same day twice. It's got action element to it. Public service is a huge aspect of it. That was kind of passed on to me by my father. He was a EMT, he was in the military, and he was a teacher, kind of always giving back to community. So I think that seeing that example growing up kind of helped direct me to what I wanted to get into.
What got you to Decorah? What's kept you in Decorah?
Yeah, that's a great question because it really goes back. I graduated from Rushford, Minnesota, is where I went to school. That's where I grew up. And when I went to college in Wisconsin, my dad, my senior year of college, sent me in the mail a newspaper clipping from the Decorah newspaper saying we're hiring a police officer. You know, back in that day, there was no email, there was no internet. So it was, honest to goodness, clipping from the Decorah newspaper. And I had to get a job my senior year. It was kind of paramount. So I was applying everywhere that I could. Anybody that was hiring, I was applying at. And Decorah got a hold of me first. I wasn't familiar with Decorah. I didn't know much about Decorah. And since they got back to me first, said, "You've got a job," I took that job. I was married at the time. My wife was pregnant, and I told her, she didn't know Decorah either. I said, "We will go there for 5 years just to say thank you to the community." Because a lot of people may not know, but in the state of Iowa, your agency pays for your academy training. In other states, you might have to pay for your own. And it's a costly venture. So I thought 5 years is enough payback time to say thank you to the community, reinvest with the work that I do, and I can leave and go back into Minnesota. And that was my intent. That was the discussion I had with my wife was, we're going to stay here for 5 years, then we're going to Minnesota.
And 25 years after that 5-year commitment, and you're still here.
Yeah, we had that conversation when I made the decision that I was going to hang up my duty vest and my duty belt. That's 5 years is done now, right? It's like, yeah, that's 5 years. Coming to Decorah, fell in love with the region first and foremost. You know, look outside. We've got the hills, valleys, streams, rivers. I'm an outdoor person, so I live outside. I'm always camping, canoeing, fishing. So fell in love with the area for what it has to offer. The aesthetics of it too. What a beautiful part of Iowa. And then you look at what Decorah has to offer. It's got a great school system. Like I said, when we moved here, we were pregnant. It just had a baby, actually. So school system means a lot. It's got first-rate medical services. Decorah had a lot of things that meant a lot to a family.
And you were able to rise in leadership positions within the police department. Was it always your goal to become a police chief, or did that kind of organically happen?
That organically happened. When I first started out, back in that day, rookie police officers work nights, and that's what I wanted. So I was a night patrolman for a couple of years, never had any goals or aspirations of assistant chief, captain, chief, not at all. I just wanted to be a cop. I just wanted to go out in the street and work. And that's what I love doing. Even to this day, if I get a day where I can go out in the patrol car and be more of a cop than an administrator, I love those days. That's what I crave. So I didn't have any aspirations or goals of becoming a department head until probably when I was a captain, is when it started to sink in. There's some things I want to do. There's some things I'd like to try, and I would like to try for that police chief's job.
And here you are a few years later, and your final day on the job will be Friday. When you look at just the job of law enforcement, how has it changed in your career?
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. I still remember starting out here in Decorah as a night patrol officer. We used typewriters back then. We didn't have computers. And I still remember typing my first OWI report on a typewriter. And for those that aren't familiar with that format, if you have an error in a report, whether it's a typing error, you forgot to interject something, you put something out of sequence, it's not an easy fix. And we had to submit all our narratives, all our reports to our supervisor, to my sergeant. And a 3-page OWI arrest, if there's an error in it, it can't go to court. You can't have that. That becomes a court document. So you would have to retype the whole 3 pages for a grammatical error. So those days have greatly changed. When I started here, the police department was in City Hall. It was where the city clerk's office now sits. That was the police department dispatch center, evidence room, chief's office was all in that small office area. Calls for service haven't changed too much as far as what we see here in Northeast Iowa. The way we handle things is a lot different now. Technology is huge. Back then, there was no cameras in a squad car. You didn't wear a camera all the time with you. You didn't have a camera in your pocket. So technology's changed a great deal. In fact, right now, every squad car is a mobile office. Every patrol car has a laptop computer in it, mapping systems. I can see where other officers are. They can see where I'm at. Dispatch can ping a location. If I don't know how to get there, I can just follow the mapping software to get to where I need to. There's a printer in there. The armrest in the patrol car is a printer. We print out all our tickets. We used to hand write them, and I've got terrible handwriting. So the ability now just to scan a driver's license and it self-populates, yeah, technology's made this job a whole lot different.
Has technology created any more headaches?
I remember when body cameras and in-car camera systems first came about. I think myself and almost every law enforcement officer will tell you the same thing. Our first thought of these new systems was kind of Big Brother like. People keeping eyes on us, supervisors seeing what we're doing. It didn't take long for us to realize that the cameras are there to protect us. The number of complaints we've received over the years that have been proven false by the camera systems, I don't think you're going to find many officers right now that don't love the camera systems.
When you look back at the memorable days in your career, and it's kind of a weird question because probably a lot of memorable days haven't been exactly positive days from a news perspective, but is there anything that sticks out as a memorable day in your career from a positive or a unfortunate news standpoint?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we see that stick with us forever. That's part of the job. There is some highlights in my career that I'll never forget. We had I started a K9 unit back in the 1990s. It was a narcotics detection dog. He was a black lab, and we have to certify with the dog every year to prove he's a narcotics detection dog. So we go to court with our certification. We went to a 5-state trial one year to get our certification, and we scored #1 in the 5-state trial for narcotics detection dogs. So with that ranking, we got invited to go to national competition that year, and it happened to be hosted in St. Paul, Minneapolis, St. Paul that year. So the police chief said, "You got the invite, your dog qualified, go to nationals." So we went and lived up in the Twin Cities for a week and competed against 67 of the top dog teams in the United States. There's Miami-Dade, LAPD, NYPD, and those are dogs that do it all day long, every day, airport dogs. We're Northeast Iowa. Hawk was my dog's name, and he and I worked for a 5-county drug task force, and we went out whenever we were called. So he wasn't doing it daily. We scored, we finished #12 in the national competition that year. And the judges told me afterwards that I cost that dog a top 10 ranking. Every time I called his name, they docked me points. When the leash went tight, they docked me points. If my finger brushed up against something, they docked me points. We'd never competed in that level before, so I had no idea what I was doing. So if it weren't for me, that dog would have been top 10 in the nation. And that's phenomenal for a city our size to have that. So I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that week. I got the opportunity to go to the DEA Academy out in Quantico, Virginia, when meth labs were starting to sweep across Iowa. And I studied out there for, I think it was 2 weeks to become meth lab certified. And back in that day, meth labs were huge. They were monstrous. They took up farmhouses, they took up barns. It's not like the meth labs that we have today that are one pot or a shake and bake. So that was a phenomenal opportunity to go study meth labs and to come back and be one of the only certified officers in Northeast Iowa to go and do meth labs and take them apart. And President Obama came to Decorah as a seated president to work with the Secret Service and all the organizations that follow the president along. That was something I'll never forget either. The meetings that we had, what goes on behind the curtain of a presidential visit, unbelievable. So that was kind of a cool experience that I don't think a lot of people get the opportunity to do. And also going to the FBI Academy. I went to the National Academy. So I went out to Quantico again, lived and studied at the FBI Academy for 3 months. And that was an experience I'll never forget either.
When you look at law enforcement throughout the country, the recruitment of officers has been a struggle for many departments. I know it's been a struggle here locally from time to time. What, in your mind, can be done to make sure that there's enough people and enough qualified people available to continue to protect and serve the public?
Yeah, that is such a tough one. We've tried different things here in Decorah. Nationally, we've kept our finger on the pulse of what people are doing to recruit, and retention is a big part of it too. I've gone back and spoken to classes at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. That's where I went to college at, and I've got a friend of mine that's an instructor over there. And I don't know what the answer is. There's not a lot of people going into this occupation because everything that's involved with it. It takes a special kind of person. I truly believe it's a calling. It is an occupation of service. We're here serving a community. We're serving others. We're putting others' needs ahead of our own. And you have to have the right person doing that job. Not everybody, we could have 100 people apply for a position, and still you want the right person for that job, not just a body to fill a spot. It's got to be the right person. So we can't get people in the door to apply. They're not going to college for it. I really don't know what it's going to take to turn things around. And there is no easy answer. And we've gone to retention and recruitment trainings. We've like I said, we kept a finger on the pulse of nationally what's going on, and I don't know what it's going to take.
When you look at whoever will replace you, what advice would you give to whoever the next Decorah police chief will be?
Always explain the why. Never assume that people are going to understand why you're doing what you're looking at doing. Always explain the why, and I would let them know too that you can't please everybody. You know, you're working with a whole department. Some people are going to like what you're doing, some aren't. And the same thing goes for the community. You're going to find people in the community that love what you're doing, others that aren't happy with it. So you're going to have to come to terms with, you can't please everybody.
And what's next for you?
Family. Yeah, that's an easy one. It's kind of interesting right now, and I kind of love this part of my life because, like I said, I came here straight out of college. We had a child. I graduated that same week, and we moved to Decorah that same week. And this is where I've been since. So I've always known what's next, where I'm going, what my plans were, what trajectory I'm on. I don't have any of that right now. I know I've got a grandson, and I want to spend more time with him. I have a daughter that moved to Idaho, and she introduced me to the high mountains and trout fishing in the high mountains. And my mother wants to take a couple of trips. So I have no idea what's next. I love that not knowing, but it is going to be family.
All right, Dave, we appreciate you taking some time to talk about your career as a Decorah police officer and the Decorah police chief. We give our sincere thanks for all you've done for this community over the past 3 decades, and we appreciate you taking the time, and enjoy retirement.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing before we sign off, is I don't get to this position. I don't have the career that I have. I don't get the opportunities that I've had, that I've spoken to you about, without family sacrifice. So if not for my wife, Kelly, my 2 girls, Alexis and Paige, I'm not sitting here today talking to you as the Decorah police chief. Police officers' families sacrifice just as much as we do in this profession. So I can't say thank you enough to my wife, Kelly, and my 2 girls, Alexis and Paige, for what they've gone through and what they've done in order to allow me to pursue this. So I want to thank them. And also I want to thank all the men and women that I've got the opportunity to work with in this career. I've had some fantastic mentors. Again, you don't get to this position without some leadership. So the friendships that I've made in law enforcement across this country are going to be forever friendships, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Smutzler is retiring as the Decorah police chief. His final day on the job is Friday after 3 decades of service to the community of Decorah. Another one of the fun summer celebrations is coming up next week. It's the Eitzen Family Fun Fest, coinciding with the 4th of July each and every year. And the Eitzen Lions president, Brad Hoscheit, joining us. And Brad, I'd imagine you're ready for another fun couple of days of just community gathering and celebration next week.
Yes, absolutely. Got a lot of fun things planned for this year, a couple new things coming on and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll be ready to go on Monday.
How much work, how much planning goes into these couple of days, and how many people are involved?
Oh, it takes everybody. Let's see. We have a club of 53, and everyone that's able to help takes part in that, and we've been already working at it for the last 3-4 weeks, doing some smaller jobs like just touching up paint jobs and getting everything kind of tidied up so everything looks good when the community comes to celebrate with us.
And let's run down some of those new events that you touched on this year. What new can people expect when they come to Eitzen Monday and Tuesday?
Well, we've changed it up here the last couple of years. It's not really new anymore, but we do have we got some vendors coming in again. We are just kind of get a little shorthanded once in a while and get some. So we end up with Stumpy's Concessions, Smoking Sharky's Barbecue, and we got Papa J's Kettle Corn. And I just added one. It's not on the poster on this year, but they just called me yesterday. And they're going to come in. It's called Build a Bear, and it's for the kids and stuff, so they can come and the little ones can build their own bear and take it home with them. And that's something that's basically new, and that's what it is, I guess.
And let's run down just the schedule of events starting on Monday. It looks like the fun gets underway at 3 o'clock.
That's correct. Yeah, we start off the beanbag tournament, and then the beer garden, the food stands will open up. Flea market will be opening up too. Then 6 o'clock softball will start, and then 7 o'clock the big show there that night is the Tri-State Truck Tractor Pullers, and they always put on a good show, and everybody, all the kids and adults like that a lot. So then finish off the night, then Outback Entertainment will go from 8 to 1. So.
And then you get up early on Tuesday for an absolutely full day of entertainment, and it looks like there's something for everyone.
That's correct. Yeah, we changed up the breakfast a little bit. We pushed that back an hour because we pushed our parade back from noon to 3 o'clock. We did that last year due to the rain, and that went over very well. We had a lot of good comments about that being a little later in the afternoon. So. We're going to start off the breakfast at 8, and then the flea market will be at 8:30, and then the pedal pull will be at 9. That's always a good turnout for the kids, and then the beer gardens, food stands will open up at 11, and ball tournament starts around 10, and then we'll have the grand parade at 3. And like I said, that's a change for this year. This is the second time we've done that, but that's a change this year. So just kind of make a point of that a little bit. That parade's at 3 instead of noon, and then Captain Kirby's running around with the little. Captain Kirby trains, and then the big show that night is a 5 o'clock demo derby. So, and then from 2 to 6 the toe tappers, and we'll have bingo again, and then we also have some kids activities. Kids come, we'll have a corn pile. We've been doing that the last few years, and that always is a fun time to have that. And kids get a few coins out of there. We throw a few coins in there for the kids to go digging for us. So that's always a good thing. And then J.R. Brink will be there at 8 to midnight, and then right before the fireworks, we'll pull our raffle. We have a pretty good raffle going on this year. So,
and from what I understand, it's a mystery prize on that raffle.
No, that's part of the. That's actually part of the beer garden part of it through Budweiser.
Okay,
so,
I'm sorry.
Yep. And then and then we finish the night off with the fireworks, and we had a little bigger show this year, so that should be interesting to see what they're going to do there. And that's how we finish the night off.
And how do people sign up for the raffle drawing?
All the members have raffle tickets, and a lot of the local businesses have them too. Eitzen, Caledonia, Spring Grove. There might be even a few down New Albin or Lansing, that direction.
All right. Anything we're missing, Brad? Anything else you want to pass on to the public about this great event coming up next week?
Well, we just appreciate everybody coming, and then just come and have some fun, and we'll see you on the 3rd and the 4th.
All right, Brad, we appreciate you and everyone with the Eitzen Lions for what you do to put on this great summer event coming up next week. Best of luck to you with the event, and thanks for the time this morning.
Yep, thank you.
Brad Hoscheit with the Eitzen Lions, Eitzen Family Fun Fest coming up next Monday and Tuesday. The Eitzen Lions Facebook page, great place to get all the information about Eitzen Family Fun Fest. Coming up this Saturday is the annual Independence Day celebration in the community of Spillville. It's been going on for quite some time. It's one of the best
in our neck of the woods, and here to discuss it with us is Paul Wermers. And Paul, looking at the just the overall schedule of events on Saturday, there's literally something from for all ages coming up on Saturday, and that's what kind of makes it a neat event, doesn't it?
Absolutely. One of the great things about our little village is that it's a small, laid-back town and has the feel of what America should feel. Rural America at its finest. The events that we have, there's a 5K fun run in the morning. Check-in is at 8. There is going to be a baseball game, the Counter Cats versus the Fort Mallards. That starts at 12:30. And then activities for the kids. Kids games will start at 3:30. We have balloon animals, kid games. And then at 4 o'clock, the old-time music on the community band. And then there's more music on the Ludwig stage, J.R. Brink's band and Greg Hall and the Wrecking Ball. Also, there's going to be free watermelon and free root beer with the kids' games. For other activities inside the Inwood, there's going to be bingo. And then we're going to have DJ Matt Shoddick with Blackout DJ on the baseball diamond for the kids to jam out to. And then the greatest is the fireworks. And that starts at dusk or 9:30. And I tell you, our little village can put together a patriotic show. We choreographed the show to patriotic music that leaves people impressed and wanting to come back for more.
And the nice thing about going to this celebration, it's the way it's always been when we've gone to Spillville ever since I've been a kid, and I'm not a spring chicken anymore. You can go there. It's very inexpensive. You can have a good time, and you can have that sense of community and what this country is all about.
Absolutely. You know, one thing great about small communities, which we have speckled across the rural Americas, you can come together and enjoy each other's company. There is a slight fee to get in. It's $5 per person and $5 per gate. As we're experiencing inflation, so is the fireworks. Most of that money goes back to the fireworks.
And looking at the fireworks, that's always one of the highlights of the event in Spillville, and there's a lot of folks that contribute to the fireworks to make that display so awesome.
Yes, the groups that are involved is the St. Wenceslas Church Holy Name. They are watching the gate and providing the parking, trying to make sure that the congestion stays at a minimum. Then you have the Civic Improvement Association. They manage and run the Inwood as well as the kid games. You got the Turkey River Music Fest. They're putting together the bands that are playing. Got the Old Time Music. That's a volunteer group. And, of course, we got the Southwind Area Community Action Group Pyrotechnic Team. This is a group that I started with back in '93. This is my 30th year participating in this party. And I tell you, I'm beyond blessed living in a community that I have so many chances to give back to the members of my community.
And when the community gets together and makes sure that everything gets covered, every T gets crossed, every I gets dotted to make sure the community can have a celebration like that, when you got so many people willing to help out to make sure this event goes on, that's another part of the special part of this Spillville 4th of July celebration, correct?
Correct. And that's part of the ongoing challenges of finding the right mix of volunteers to participate. So if you as a listener would like to be more involved in this amazing party, while you're in Spillville, ask around. We're easy to find, and every group is looking for more volunteers.
No doubt about it. Paul, give us one final rundown of what all is going on Saturday, and one invitation to come down to Spillville come Saturday.
So the list of the events again was there's a 5K in the morning. Then at 12:30, there's a baseball game of the Counter Cats versus the Fort Mallards. At 3:30, the kid games will be starting. Those bounce houses, there's a small bounce house, balloon animals, the old-fashioned ring toss. And then a small pavilion around 4 p.m. is the old-time music by the community band. And then some of the grander music at the Ludwig stage is the J.R. Brink's band and Greg Hall and the Wrecking Ball. There's also going to be free watermelon and root beer. There'll be bingo inside the Inwood. And there's a DJ at the baseball diamond for the kids to jam out to. And then at dusk, 9:30 is when the fireworks start.
It's one of the best events in our neck of the woods all summer long, the Independence Day celebration in the community of Spillville. All-day activities coming up on Saturday. And Paul, we thank you for what you do in putting this event on, and all the volunteers to make sure that this event is a success on a year-in and year-out basis. And we appreciate the time. Have a safe and happy 4th of July week.
We will, and we appreciate the support and appreciate you coming down and visiting our village. Thank you.
Paul Wermers, he is from the community of Spillville. The 4th of July celebration gets going with a 5K run Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And then America's Greatest Fireworks by the South Plain Area Community Group Pyrotechnic Team at 9:30 Saturday night.
A thank you to our guest on the program this morning, Decorah Police Chief Dave Smutzler. He will be retiring effective tomorrow. There will be an open house for him from 1 until 4 at Decorah City Hall tomorrow afternoon. And thanks for Dave for having a quote-unquote exit interview with us. We want to thank also Brad Hoscheit. He is with the Eitzen Lions, Eitzen Family Fun Fest coming up next Monday and Tuesday. And we also want to thank Paul Wermers from the city of Spillville. Paul, part of the celebration in Spillville, which will take place on Saturday. Don't forget, each and every week we put these shows on YouTube for your viewing and dining pleasure. We realize you can't always be near a radio or a streaming device at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, or for that matter, on a Thursday morning. But we want to give you the opportunity to hear from the interesting guests that we get to talk to you on a week in and week out basis. We put the shows up on YouTube. If you're looking, just go 629 Our Town program for all of that information out on YouTube. We also link the YouTube links to all of our Facebook pages, and it's also available on our SoundCloud pages as well if you want the audio-only version, which you can download yourself. So all sorts of ways to get the locally based content here from LA Communications. Thank you to our guest. Thank you to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust. A reminder to have a safe and happy 4th of July period, which will take place next week. And as we always say, we want to be talking to you and not about you next week. So thank you for tuning in to another edition. In fact, take two. Thank you for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching another edition of Our Town here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.